And now we're going to focus again on sustainable mobility. So this time we come back to Europe, and we are going to see this time the plans for the future here in Europe. Mobility is a really important topic, and it's really present on the 2030s agenda that we have been also speaking a bit in the last conversation. So the plans for the future of mobility are clear, and they are electric vehicles and autonomous public transport. And mobility projects are being developed in many European countries and cities. And every day also we can see how electric vehicles are taking our streets overall here in Berlin. But will the COVID-19 pandemic influence the future of sustainable mobility? Well, when we speak about being sustainable in the mobility area, of course, it is well known by the citizens that most of the ecological choices are public transport and bikes. But what happens when using the metro is not that safe anymore because of COVID? And what are the sustainable solutions for cities and towns with the smaller infrastructures? Does it mean that we need to put our plans on hold? Well, with our speakers today, we are going to discuss in detail these questions and the impact that COVID-19 will have in the sustainable mobility area. And we will also know a bit more about some of the projects that are happening here in Europe. So right now, let's see if my two speakers are around here. So Ulla, Arjun, can you request to join the panel, please?
Good afternoon, Coral. How's it?
Oh, really good. So nice to see you back again. So let's see.
Nice to be back.
Ulla, let's tell her. We can tell her to ask to join. Here she is.
Hello.
Hi, Ulla. How are you?
Hi, good. How are you?
Good, good. Really excited about this panel. And so welcome to both of you, and thank you for being here. So let me introduce really shortly both of you. So Arjun Jamil, you are International Project Manager at Envida Tech. So Arjun has worked in several scopes in sustainability, being mobility one of the areas that he has developed several projects along Europe, and he will tell us more about it today. And Ulla, Technical Project Manager in Forum Virum Helsinki, and currently working on the fabulous project that she will tell us today more about it as well. Yeah? So did I say everything correctly? Everything was fine? Okay, so now let us start, and better than me, what if you introduce a bit of yourself? So if you want, maybe Arjun, that you are now really a master in hopping as well, that you have had several sessions with us.
I have to say I had very good coaching from Nike.
Oh, yeah, I will pass the words. Maybe she's not right now on the stage, but I will tell her. Yeah, she's the real master of hopping right now.
Yeah. Right. Well, thank you for the to the team and also to the both of us. I will just share my screen to kind of talk about my themes and what I've been doing, what have I been busy with in the last 2 years. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Right. So right over on my website, there's a tab. Wow, it's low. Right. If we scroll down a little bit, it takes a while to load on my really old computer. But as you can see here, I've been working for this project called BSR Electric. That was my main e-mobility focus for the last 2 years. This project successfully ended actually last month. So we are done with 4 years, almost 5 years of collaborating with 14 international partners. We're doing e-mobility modes like e-bikes, buses, scooters, ferries, and various types of city logistics. In the frame of this project, I also created a podcast, which I really welcome everyone to listen to because it's very entertaining. And I interviewed a bunch of experts that are extremely charming, The highlight being Matthew Baldwin, who is the deputy commissioner for the DG Move. So he's also the European Commission's main coordinator for road safety, and he talks about a lot of interesting things in this podcast right here, the one with the picture. So please have a listen to it if you're interested. In other news, I also created an augmented reality app that people could use to understand the spatial nature of our project better. So we were spread all around the Baltic Sea region, and we had even projects in Helsinki. Ulla, maybe you already know about them. And it was a great time working with this very exciting team. There's a bunch of creative content here, so please feel free to explore at your own pace as you'd like. I can paste a link over here so that you can have a look at it while we talk.
Yes, put it in the chat on the stage so everyone can also check it. And yeah, I need to agree that you have a lot of information, really interesting. Yeah, I have to say that I haven't heard your podcast yet, but I definitely want to. It's on my to-do list. I have to be on this festival.
I will quiz you in 2 weeks, Coral.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
Well, I can stop sharing my screen then. All right.
Okay, let's see that we can. Okay, now it's back. Okay, so thank you so much, Arjun, for the presentation. And now let's jump to Ulla. So if you would like to share your screen and of course tell us a bit more about you and your work.
Yes, pleasure. So, are you able to see it? Sorry,
yes.
I didn't have it. I didn't have the first slide.
No
But yeah,
no problem.
So I'm really excited to talk about our fabulous project. The project is indeed called Fabulous. I will post also the link to the fabulous video to the chat. But meanwhile, I was asked to not to show the video because it could be a bit lagging. So I made a short summary of the video in the picture format. So let's take a look at the project. So the Fabulous project focuses on how cities can use automated buses in a systematic way. During these field tests, selected robot bus prototypes are tested as small fleets of shuttles in Estonia, Finland, Greece, the Netherlands, and Norway. A fleet of 3 self-driving vehicles began operating in April 2020 in Helsinki. So this was the first of the Fabulous pilots that will take place now in 5 cities. A user-friendly on-demand application is part of the mobility solution, enabling citizens seamless transfer across the public transportation network. This is Gacha Bus. It's one of our company's robot bus. So the bus drives in regular urban traffic in 40-kilometer zone. It autonomously navigates roundabouts, pedestrian crossings, intersections, cyclists, trams, and parked or passing cars. And for the first time in Europe, the fleets are monitored from a newly established remote control center. In case of unexpected situations, a remote operator can give permission to pass an object, such as a car blocking the road, or take over the control of the vehicles. And as demonstrated by the Fabulous field tests, the automated buses can be an essential part of the public transport system in the future. To learn how this ambitious goal can be achieved, follow the Fabulous project. So I encourage you to follow us. A few more lines about the project. So we really hope to get answers that answer to the city's mobility needs and challenges, and how the cities can use self-driving buses in a systematic way. We aim to achieve this by procuring R&D from the companies. And our goal is definitely making public transport more attractive, having less private cars, leading to less congestion, less pollution, less CO2, as we are working with electric vehicles. And the project will end this year. It's an 8 million project, Horizon 2020 research and innovation program. So basically, this was what I wanted to show you. Also, for those who have then more time to see the recorded videos, then they can take a look at our companies who are involved in the project.
Yeah, definitely. So yes, please, Ulla, share the link in our chat. So I really encourage people to go and check it later, because it's really interesting project as well. And one of the things that I also was attracted to, that actually here today we are speaking about what's going on with sustainable mobility. Because of the pandemic, we have seen so many plans to be behind, and actually you started this project during the pandemic, no? So now in a few minutes we will know more, but it's also surprising, kind of a positive thing, no? That we see plans that were planned, even if how things are right now, they keep going. So just to put our audience a bit in context, and just to make everybody to understand what we are going to speak today about, I would like to ask you, to both of you, so what the term sustainable mobility means. So I think for each person can be something different, and maybe also how technical you are, you might have a broader definition of it. But of course, I would like to hear, what do you think about, for example, for you, Arjun, what sustainable mobility is?
Well, thank you for the question. I have to say, working in this field for 2 years, I kind of met a lot of experts and developed some certain keywords that I feel that describe certain sustainable mobility the best. And in my opinion, it would be equitable, non-congested, on-demand, organized mobility for the people. And in these four keywords, there's also extra benefits included, for example, health benefits, or people having more easier routes to plan, people having more efficiency while traveling, people having efficiency in cost as well while traveling. These are extra benefits, but more or less, the theme that I really worked with was equitability of transport, because the transport that we plan as Horizon 2020 or Interact project managers, it doesn't always reflect the usability by the real people, and that for me is one of the key points of sustainable mobility, that in the future it's accessible by everyone.
Yeah, definitely. What about you, Ulla?
Yeah, I have to say the keywords are pretty much the same. What I had been thinking is that these types of solutions need to be especially accessible for all, tailored for all, to answer to every person's own personal mobility needs. And basically, if we kind of want to crystallize it, I would say that just less private cars with fuels, and contributing to the CO2 reductions. So that's basically, in a nutshell, how I would crystallize the term sustainable mobility.
Yeah, I think two keywords that you say, Arjun and I took, is efficiency and accessible. And actually those two words also were present yesterday in our talk during sustainable mobility. And I think efficiency is the first thing we need to look at, because as something you just mentioned is that the solutions many times are not accessible for everyone. I think it might be a simple example, but also we can see, for example, with all the electric cars that we have here in Berlin, there's plenty of companies offering that service, but unfortunately then you go to smaller cities that might be also big enough to need these kind of services, and they are not there. And in Berlin we have too many, so this is also part of being efficient as well, to share the resources along the population so everybody can access to the same things. And well, accessible, actually, this is the other word I took from your description. And this is also really important. One of the attendees actually asked about it, to make accessible public transport, for example, for all these people that usually cannot access in an easy way. And I think, after listening your vision about it, and comparing with what we heard yesterday, I think those can be both take that we can have, from the sustainable mobility concept. Mm-hmm. Now moving forward, I would like, of course, to know more about both of the projects. So I would like to know more about you, Ulla. You have just shown us your project. This is this pilot project you are developing in 5 different places. So please tell us more about it. What is going to happen? What are the goals after this first stage of the project? What do you expect that the results will be?
Well, I think our approach is that we really use the technological innovations as the tool to fight the or contribute to sustainable mobility. So yeah, as you said, I think making public transport really attractive is really the key, and making it tailored for the user. So currently we are testing the solution. The companies have been developing their solutions from 2018. And now we had the first round of field tests already. So wrapped them up in 3 cities, and three more cities will follow. And these pilots then will give us a proof of concept that these types of solutions are really needed, that they are really kind of working. And then the follow-up after this project would be that in 3 years' time, we would have these solutions as commercial services. So that's basically the goal for our project.
So it's really short. We are speaking just 3 years. It's really good to hear that it's kind of a short time frame. Do you have already some results that maybe you can share with us already, or it's a bit of a secret?
Some results we do have. I think most of them relate to the fact that the robot buses still have not been capable of moving in the mixed traffic setting with other cars and traffic. So we definitely have very positive results on the speeds developing to the same level as the surrounding traffic. And I think making these services really function well, and not block other traffic and these types of things, I think these are really crucial in order to have these services commercialized.
Yeah, definitely. And I'm curious, do you have some reactions of the people in the city that have seen these cars with no driver going around? I can imagine the first days people were, kind of shocked, because maybe we have seen the cars, they are not so common. And then you see a bus, you might be a bit more afraid of having some kind of accident or something. How the people have took the buses around the city?
Well, actually, really great. And in Finland, we have had these robot bus trials from 2015 onwards. And we have done also a lot of user experience studies, and they have always been surprisingly positive. So I think maybe one thing that contributes to that is that actually these buses are really cute looking. They are not very intimidating, as you could see on the video or on the screenshots. They are extremely cute and approachable. So I think it's it's a crucial thing that they don't really look dangerous at all.
Yeah, they are a bit small, as you say. Yeah, they look cute, and usually also when you see a smaller vehicles, you can think they might be more effective. Also, when moving in the city, they can move faster, or they don't take so much space when moving to one side to another. So I think they look also quite practical. Well, so let's move to you to Arjun. And so, well, Arjun, you say your project finished recently last month, so I think maybe you already have some conclusions, if you have already finished. So please tell us more what have been that you have been involved with.
Actually, before we move on to my profile, I would really like to ask some questions from Ulla, if that's okay.
Yeah, sure.
Ulla, what's the total kilometers or how many routes that you plan? Like, what were the details of the routes?
We have 6 different routes. So far we have been driving next to the Finland's second busiest train station, so in Helsinki, with a very urban route with the speed limit of 40. And the bus has been driving 25 kilometers per hour. So considering that the route has many traffic lights, the speeds are really, really close to what the cars also achieve on this route. Then we have a very hilly route in Norway, so a smaller village, a bit more rural, very deep inclines, 10 to 12% inclines to the mountains. That was done already, that pilot. And then we had one in Estonia next to the Tallinn airport. So we are always aiming for the last mile. And then that one was, the Estonian one was at a business district right next to the airport. Kilometers driven depend on the pilots, but most of them have driven, I think, more than 1,000 kilometers per pilot, if I'm not fully mistaken. I have to check that.
And what's the average transit time?
We have had very different types of routes, so I can't really give you one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. And one thing, so the reasons why I asked this is because these very specific questions help me kind of compare Fabulous to my project as well. Not within exactly the frame of our project, we also had an autonomous bus, and by the way, this would also count towards results, Coral, that we had an autonomous bus taking people from the main bus station at the street towards the Gdansk zoo. Gdansk is a city in Poland, and I think the average transit time was, let's say, 7 minutes or 8 minutes. So it was a very, very small pilot. I think the total length covered was 2.5 kilometers, and the maximum speed was 18 kilometers per hour. One thing that we really kind of tried to focus on was safety. So there's a whole ecosystem of companies, small-time companies, developing individual solutions for autonomous driving. But these small companies, in our experience, what we noticed, did not have access to safety testing like the big automobile companies do. So crash testing, electronical component safety. Was this somehow looked at in your project? Was this somehow communicated to the public?
Yes, definitely. I mean, the EMC testing, for instance, that you were referring to, this was mandatory for all of our solutions. We are working with prototypes, that's for sure, because this is a research and innovation project where we aim to take prototypes and then have them commercialized. But definitely the safety is the key for all the manufacturers we work with, and we trust their judgment and also the authorities' judgment. So of course there has been a lot of conversations and proofs that need to be done before these solutions are allowed to the streets. But yeah,
very interesting. Yeah. Well, thank you for that answer, and I will take this into then the segue into my project. Well, BSR Electric started with one question, right? Like, our cities are getting congested. What we need is better mobility solutions. We have very little time. In fact, we don't have any time at all, in my opinion, but the project's proposal said we had some time to implement these solutions. And what's the best way that we can get, so BSR Electric stands for Baltic Sea Region Electric. So what's the best way that we can get these solutions into Baltic Sea region cities? We started with some cities, like we also had Tallinn, by the way. So we have Tallinn's university, forgot the name, Taltech, I think it's called. We also had Gdansk, we had Norway, Helsinki as well. For example, we tried to create use cases that could directly be taken into into deployment. For example, in Denmark, we established a network of companies, of logistics companies, that would use electric vans. And to ease the transition process of them from coming from diesel vans, we even came up with partnerships that allowed them to use electric chargers from local energy companies. In fact, if I'm not mistaken, before I left the project, there was talks of partnering with big companies like IKEA to create some kind of stakeholder network where people can get these pilot projects out into the open as soon as possible. Another one that was very, very interesting that I think I can talk about in this short time is one from Helsinki. Ulla's, I guess you're calling us from Helsinki today, Ulla?
Yes, indeed.
Yes. So I'm not sure if you heard about them, but let's see. We made a pilot project where we gave 6 families electric bikes to replace their second car. And from my Helsinki or Finnish partners, I heard that there were a lot of news about this promotion. Did you hear about it?
No, unfortunately, I didn't. I missed it actually because it should be kind of coming through all my channels.
Well, they got some celebrities in Helsinki, some local celebrities, and they made some very interesting videos where the celebrities tried out these bikes for 2 months. And the question was, is an electric bike, cargo or not cargo, but an electric bike enough to replace the second car of a family? And the results were extremely surprising. In many ways, they found that electric cars were easier to replace. Second cars were easier to replace with electric bikes for men than they were for women. And this was an extremely interesting result. And we can talk more about this. I want to build up a little bit of suspense about this. But we were trying to answer equitability questions, social questions, even technical questions, like we spoke about this crash testing or safety concerns in other modes. We were related with in terms of equitability. The biggest work that we did was in Riga. So Riga has a huge hospital that is hundreds of years old, and they have corridors that are this big, not to scale, by the way, but that big. And they implemented a proprietary solution for e-scooters driving elderly patients from where they need to be and where they are right now. So that e-mobility in that sense, or sustainable mobility in that sense, is accessible to everyone. So these were the kinds of questions we tried to answer in our project.
Really interesting, actually. So it's really good also to see how both of you have been focusing in different perspectives, even if it is the same topic, and we are speaking about different kind of solutions. So now to move a bit forward, I would like to also ask you, Arjun, about a general question. No? So what do you think that are the challenges of the sustainable urban mobility plans? What are in general and for the future? Because you also mentioned that we don't have time, that might be a challenge. What else do you think are the challenges there?
Well, Coral, to be honest with you, I think the biggest challenge that SUMP, as an idea, sustainable urban mobility plans, as an idea they face today is belief. And what I mean by belief is that the acceptance of a decision maker, of a local decision maker in a city, the transport planning of the city, to believe that their city could do better, to believe that their citizens would be better off without cars and parking spaces taking up all of the congested space within the city. In fact, I've read reports that some cities have fared much better in terms of mobility planning than non-SUMP cities that did not have these stakeholder networks already built up, that these stakeholders, these public transport operators, mobility as a service operators could then connect with each other and say, hey, you're having problems, we're having problems, we have contact through these SUMP guidelines. What can we do here that that would keep us both afloat? I mean, of course, COVID has been a huge challenge to all of these stakeholders, and there's a lot of people worried about roofs over their heads. And the idea now would be to go forward in a way that not only generates sustainable economic growth, but also provides people with a way to travel and get to places in a way that is, yes, equitable, non-congested, on-demand, and organized.
Yeah, so many challenges at the end, I can see. Yeah, definitely. Well, now that you just mentioned COVID, no, and also focusing a bit on the title of this session, that we want to see what people are seeing. Well, I started the introduction saying, if you ask to citizens what are the easiest or the most sustainable sources, of course, everybody will tell you public transport or bikes. And focusing also on public transport, we have seen that they are not so safe anymore. People are afraid, or yes, definitely sometimes in some cities, the infrastructure is not good enough to really be safe for population, no? Well, I just wanted to ask you also, Arjun, that you just mentioned this topic. How do you think that this pandemic will also affect the public funded mobility projects?
Oh, I think this pandemic has come at a very interesting time, I have to say. Ulla mentioned she's working in a Horizon 2020 project. I worked in Interact projects for mobility. I also worked in Horizon 2020 projects for circular economy. And guess what? Both of these programs are now over. And starting very soon, we'll have in 2021 Horizon Europe. This would be the next big framework for public funded projects. I have to say that things were not looking so good before. I attended Civitas. So Civitas is a sustainable mobility conference where they discuss some guidelines and etc. I was in Graz last year and I attended it. And one of the most important things that I took away from Harald, who's the commissioner of the DG Move, what he said was, "We have no money. You will have less money for your project." So this is basically in an audience of, I think, 500 people, everyone the same as me, and you could literally hear the gasp of the room. The people were just like, you know, and
yes.
So yes.
Like right now I'm feeling, exactly. Yeah.
Exactly. And I'm sure people in the audience have also kind of felt this. We don't have that much money left. There was a crunch before COVID hit. After COVID hits, we are running on fumes, basically. So we need to cross our fingers, tell everyone that, hey, believe in sustainable mobility, believe in the idea that your constituents can use this as good as possible. And we need to just kind of fast track this issue.
Yeah, definitely. I think also, as you say, it's important that people are aware about the plans out there, and also citizens can kind of push a bit to promote these kind of projects. So if people really ask for solutions, also there's no other but to put money into them, no? And yeah, I also would like to ask you, Ulla, about your vision, about COVID-19, because with your project, we are seeing that you are creating these electric buses. And well, this is one of the examples we just gave, no? Buses, and absolutely they are the best solution, but we don't know when this will end. We don't know what is going to be next year. So how do you think that the COVID-19 will influence projects like yours in the future?
Well, I have to say that for our project, this hit that COVID pandemic made was huge, because of course we're an international project. All our consortia, who are like the suppliers, they are also consisting of companies from several countries. So we were really facing quite interesting times with the pilots, because there were several delays, problems with deliveries to other countries. You can imagine shipping the buses across Europe. Then one thing I think it's important to know is exactly there's no money, but also for the authorities, they have so much more things to do than focus on these types of pilot bus things. So that's also one thing that really this makes many things very different. Like the authorities are not able to work in the way they used to. Then the issue of trust. How do people experience public transport in these days? On the other hand, it's for a bit smaller units. I think it's a bit more positive than for a mass transit means of transport. So in that sense, I don't really feel that it would be completely doomed. But definitely, these are solutions that are under development. I think the actual development process is what has been affected very much. So it's really hard to look in the longer future and consider how these things will be solved.
Yeah, definitely. There is no final response as we don't know what is going to happen. So let's see and let's hope also that at least projects like yours keep running and keep getting funds, and also you can deliver, as you said at the beginning, in a short period of time, a final product, no? So, well, connecting COVID and also something that we have seen, people that still need to move, they have started to opt for individual vehicles. And this is something also that we have seen that is not good, because most of the people maybe are taking back their cars when usually they used to go by public transport to their office or work. How do you think that we can fight, looking from the sustainable perspective, how do you think we can fight this increase for demand of the individual mobility solutions? So Ulla, for example.
Yeah, I think it's definitely by very high quality services. I think it's the services, the tailored shared services that answer truly the people's needs. I think that's the key, because otherwise the private cars won't be replaced. It's just that you have to. It needs to be better. The public transport needs to be better than your own car. And I think with MAS we are really able to get there.
Yeah, and what do you think, Arjun?
Well, I have to say that in my studies or in the reports that I've read, even though public transit has fallen by 70 to 90% in the peak times of COVID, we are seeing a revival of open air mobility solutions like bicycles, for example. So Berlin itself has seen a decrease of 80% in e-scooters, thankfully, a decrease of 50% in e-mopeds, 100% decrease in ride sharing, and an 8% rise in bikes. And Berlin is not alone. In fact, I think bike ridership has increased by 30 to 40% worldwide. So not all is lost, I have to say. And I firmly believe that in countries where economic growth is stable enough for the population to move into a home office situation, the city planners or the transport planners need to reconsider what residential mobility means. Because in these times of crisis, people usually follow this concept of a 15-minute neighborhood, which what I believe is that, have you heard about this concept before?
Yes, I really like it. If you want to explain a bit, you will do much better than me. Yeah,
sure.
absolutely.
So for the audience members who might not know what a 15-minute neighborhood is that if you can take a sustainable mobility mode and travel up to 15 minutes from your doorstep, you have a kind of a circle around your neighborhood, around your house, which in this sense is the 15-minute neighborhood. And if city planners are able to implement retail and recreation, groceries and pharma, and workspaces in this space, basically, and of course essential supplies, people don't really need to travel that far anymore. So if we can delete the need for cars, imagine a world that we do not have. We would take cars like we would, I don't know, have like a very rare occasion to take a car and travel somewhere.
Yeah, let's hope that this happens sometime soon. Yeah, I think, yeah, I really love this concept and this kind of cities. I think they are really some plans that can be really implemented. It depends a lot on the cities and on the areas. Of course, it will take some years to be fully developed, but I think it's something that also citizens need to be part of. And citizens also are later the ones who are opening stores and things like that. So yeah, with the help of the population, I think this is a concept that can be fully implemented in a few years. So let's hope that it happens. Yeah. So I would like to take one moment before we jump into our last question for today. And just remember, our audience, if you have any questions, you can already put them on the chat, so we will have a look in a few minutes. And well, going back to our two guests today, I would like to ask you also something that we have seen in the first talk today, the Sustainable Development Goals that we have for 2030. And I would like to ask you, considering, for example, one of the goals, that is the number 11, is also one of the goals that we are supporting, that is sustainable cities and communities. And inside this goal, we can also see the bike or public transportation example as one of the goals. So considering those, how do you think that sustainable mobility will develop in the following 10 years? So Arjun, for you?
Sure. So I think the most relevant goal, at least in my opinion, towards this question would be goal 11, which is sustainable cities and communities, I think. And there's a certain few, I mean, the name already explains why it's relevant for us, right? But there's a certain target. So one of the targets is safe and sustainable transport, which is, again, very relevant. And I think over the next 10 years, we need to put more and more emphasis into this, and stumps are a good way to do that. So hopefully, I really do hope that the European Commission, Civitas in particular, would release some reports that people like Ulla and I could take to in our projects and show it to decision makers that, hey, if you're not already doing this, you should be doing this, because if you would, then you would be able to see these results. Another goal that is very important, which I think would survive very well in 2030 till 2030, is goal 11 again, but the target of green and public spaces. Parks have seen a rise of 55% since last year. So up to 55% of people are visiting parks compared to last year, right? In fact, it's a funny thing that I came across this number because I saw that public transport has fallen down this much percent, but residential mobility has not really gone up that much percent to like match this this extra gap. And that, I think, is fulfilled by these green and active spaces that people are deciding to work in now. If you can work from home and it's okay that you have like a public hotspot or something, why would you sit at home? You would go outside and you would sit in the shade somewhere, in summer at least. You would spend that time outside. So I think Corona, especially COVID, has kind of shown us the need for our neighborhoods to cater to our needs as human beings, to have safe, green public spaces to recreate and to recover. Of course, this also ties in with the SDG of health and well-being. I think goal 3 it is. So I think all of these are kind of very much connected, and I firmly believe that one will lead to the development of the other. And this chain reaction only starts when decision makers say that, yes, sustainable mobility is the way to go forward.
Yeah, definitely. So what do you think, Ulla? Where do you see things going in the next 10 years?
I would actually like to bring up a bit of different point of view into this. I was checking that what are the Finnish goals for the SDG for 2030. So I found that in Finland wants to focus on carbon neutral Finland, but also to highly skilled Finland. So I would like to kind of bring up the aspect of new innovations and also the public private partnerships, so that at these difficult times we would really focus on building the knowledge and trying to gain better services and innovations also in the mobility field. So I think that's something that when the times are really hard, you have to kind of try to find new solutions and use that time when there are not so much resources into creating some new innovations. So I think that's something that could be now done, and then that would create more welfare for all of us. So
yeah, let's hope so. Yeah, really interesting actually also to see the different visions of each of you. So, well, we are coming to the end of our talk right now, and just one more time I would like to just invite our audience to put their questions if there are any. If not, you can always contact Arjun or Ulla. I really recommend you to visit the links they have shared in the general chat. So for today, I think we can close it. And thank you so much to both of you. It has been really interesting talk. And I really hope it helps the people that are here today to see what are the plans out there, and they can, from today, they also know a bit more, they are more curious about it, and they keep researching more. And let's hope by 2030, everything that we have been speaking here today is already implemented and we are able to enjoy.
I agree. May I just take one last second to kind of say a message to everyone. The current company that I'm working with right now, we are very much interested in collaborating with all of the entrepreneurs and all of the professionals that are in this audience today. So I would like to invite everyone who's interested to write to me in some way, to get in touch with me, because there's a lot of good work that needs to be done, and we are looking for people to do it. Long-term experts, short-term experts, anyone that has more than 5 years of experience in fields like circular economy, urban mobility, sustainable mobility, e-mobility, gender equality, please do get back to us, because we're always looking for good people. And I'll be there at the networking sessions in the evening.
Okay, thank you so much for sharing it, Arjun. I think it's really interesting, and I hope also people can reach you. Okay, thank you so much. Thank you so much for being here today, and enjoy the evening.
Thank you very much, Coral.
Thank you.
Nice to meet you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.